Hi there. Welcome again to the comic art class and the general art class, because you're going to learn all the rules that you learn in general art, and we're just going to apply them to comics. Now, some of you will do comics, some of you will just do drawings. Either way is fine. This course is designed to help you to get an understanding about being able to do art and to be able to have some fun at it. So I'm going to start off the way that I always start all of my classes, particularly with new students, is that we go back to all the basic stuff that we covered the course before, or at least a rough, very rough run at helping you to remember all the stuff from the first class. To wit, all art comes down to 3 fundamental shapes and 2 fundamental appliques. So we're going to start with some of this, because one of the other things, if you remember from last week, that I told you is that I'm trying to get your hand, your eye, and your brain to work together. So we're going to start off with what we would normally start off. I'll start down here in this area. As long as I know that you can see it, we're good. So the very first shapes were square, triangle, circle, dot, and line. So if you can, I would like to have you draw these on your piece of paper. Now it's going to be a little dark for a minute, but I'm going to use much heavier ink so that you can make sure that you can see this. So we have dot, line, square, circle. Haha, right, this is a circle, right? No. Triangle and circle. Okay, now you should be able to see this fairly well. From here, we easily go to I just want you to notice the way I'm drawing the cube. I take this shape here, cut off about 1/3 on each side, and then just bring them together. For the triangle, I draw the triangle, pretty much exactly the same. Add a line to it, and now we have another shape. Circle, this is an easy one, just the same thing. All we're really going to do here, though, is add a little shadow, 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 shadow. And that gives it the sense of it being a sphere. So keep in mind, this is a square. And this is a cube. That's right. Outstanding. This is a triangle. And this is a 2, 3 pyramid. Outstanding. This is a circle. And this would be a sphere. Now, just while we're at this, a sphere is what we live on. This great big thing we call the Earth, that is a sphere. So if you keep that in mind and you keep an understanding of that, then you'll know basically sphere is round, and as you know, we can walk around this thing, whereas we can't really walk around a circle except on one edge because that's all it has. So now that you have these things, a line stays line, and dot stays dot. They still maintain themselves as being, oh no, we're not changing for anybody. Now, if you remember from our last class, taking these shapes and making them and putting them together. I shouldn't say making them anything. Actually taking them and putting them together is how you create objects and things. Now, If you're in this class, I'm hoping you have at least a pencil and at least an eraser. Now, most of my classes, I don't allow students to use erasers, but you're not with me here, so I can't say to you, put that eraser away or take that eraser from you, so you can use it. And because I can't see you, I won't know that you're using it. So if you don't tell me, I can't get you, okay? But here's what I would like to try to get you to do. Whenever possible, draw light so that you don't need to use the eraser. Because I don't want you to become dependent on making mistakes. I want you to become dependent on getting it to be what it needs to be the first time you lay it down. Now, you're not going to be perfect at this. No artist really is. I mean, at a certain point, you get perfect at some things, but most artists still always rough things out and play around with things till they get it to the way that they want, and then they go in and they make it what it needs to be. So I'm hoping you will start to adopt that concept, that it doesn't have to be perfect when you lay it down. It just has to be close. And if it's close, then you can change it and make it what it needs to be. So with that in mind, now we're going to start to talk about these shapes working in conjunction with each other, because that's what's going to make it be what it needs to be and make it be the cool stuff that it always is. Okay, that was cute. So I just want to keep track of my time, because time is a very precious commodity to an artist. All right, so here we go. For the most part, if you take a square, and I always say work with these shapes initially. If you work with these shapes first, getting them to these shapes becomes easy. So I want you to start with these shapes, and then we'll take these shapes, and then I'll show you how they become those shapes. So I'm going to use these two things. These are red and orange. They're very, very light and very, very hard to see. And I may actually even go in and do some stuff with yellow. Because again, I'm going to treat this as if it was my light pencil. When doing light pencil work, very, very hard to see, but I can see it, and so then I can go over top of it after the fact. So that's how I work, okay? So here we go. If I start off with a square, that's a general rule. Now the square can become a bunch of things. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of things so that you'll understand how this works. So let's start with a square here. Now you may not be able to see this, but I can. Yes, it's very light, isn't it? Very, very light. Very, very light. If I take that square and I stretch it, it becomes a rectangle, which is good because now we can use it. Now here's where the cool stuff comes in. If I start it with a square, so draw a square. And by the way, if you haven't drawn these, draw these too. You want to always put these on a paper and have it next to you. If you draw it on a separate sheet of paper, you can just put it next to you. You don't have to redraw it every week. If not, I would suggest drawing it every week so you get used to it. It becomes familiar, almost becomes like an old friend. Because as an artist, these shapes will be your friends. So we start with that. Square. We take the square, we stretch it, and it becomes a rectangle. The thing that's cool about this is since you've done this shape and you know this and this one does the exact same thing. So I'm going to take this square and we're going to cube it. And again, I always cheat with my cube. I always follow the top edge. You could go with the bottom edge too. It does the same. It'll give you the same cube. It'll just be upside down. This one, you do the same thing. I'm going to follow it. And I'm going to follow it. And then I'm going to do this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? So now you have a cube and a rectangle. And the rectangles has the dimensions of, or the feeling of cube, because technically it is this. If I wanted to, I could actually make this into 2 cubes. And by the way, I want you to notice something interesting. Well, maybe I'll make these bigger so that you can see them. Dot, 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 dot. Oh, I talk to myself, I sing, I do all of that kind of stuff when I do art, because me and my art are very friendly. We're like old chums, have known each other for quite some time. So here's what I want you to notice. See these dots? Ta-da! So he came and joined the party so that he could break this up and show you cube and cube, two cubes. The cool thing about a cube and a cube is that if you do this with the cube, if you say, you know what, I'm gonna take a cube and I wanna match it with something else. So if we take this cube and we go up here and we say, hey, cube, what you thinking? Says, you know, I could use a hat. So he says, okay, I'll give you a hat. What kind of hat you want? So he says, I want a pyramid hat. So we give him a pyramid hat. Now I'm gonna tell you a little secret. As a general rule, whenever you're going to put something on top of another shape, one shape on top of another shape, you want to find the center of that shape. The easiest way to find the center of a cube is to draw an X through it. A simple X. Boom. And there you have it. Now I'm going to do this in blue so that you'll see it, even though it may look like it's black anyway on the screen, because they look very similar. Okay? But I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to make it dotted. Boom, boom, so that you can see. And again, as I said, the dot has been trying to join this party and has said, I'm going to join the party. So now he has joined the party. So now, as you can see, we have a dot. We have dots that have made the X. So now we know where the center of this cube is, or this square. The center of the square is going to be right above that. So if we draw an arrow straight up from here, that looks like that, and we stop it about, let's say about right there. Now we can put the pyramid on top and it'll be sort of centered. So let's draw a line down and then a line down. If you've done that, can you tell me what this looks like? What? It looks like an X with a hat on. Ah, but we're going to call this something else, because if I take that shape, I'm going to draw it right next to it so it won't have all of the distraction in the way for you. Looks similar to something you might live in? Not yet? Ah, what if I did this? La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Ah, does it look like something you might live in now? Aha. But now, this still has, these two shapes is still triangle and square, which matches the flat shape. But we want to take it from flat to three-dimensional, which is triangle to pyramid and square to cube. So we're going to cheat just a little bit. So remember, what I did, I always put a line here and here, but since the triangle's on top, I can't put a line there. Or could I? No. Technically I could, but you won't see it. Okay? So we're just going to put the one on the side. And then we're going to draw to it. Side of house. Okay, I'm going to just put one window in there. I mean, I could put two, but I'm just going to put one. And we'll put one on the first floor. Now, usually they'll have 2 or 3 windows on the side of a house, or they'll have a like bay window, but you don't need to go into all of that right now. Like I say, this is just a beginning class, so this is just to give you a sense of how it works. Now, here's the interesting thing about this pyramid. Technically, I could draw the line from here down to there, and you would technically have a house, but that would be one of a really weird houses. Most houses have this matching that. So for right now, we're just going to follow the rule of triangle to pyramid, and we're going to actually do that. So you're just going to draw it straight down to the end of that. Okay? So now you have your basic house form. Now, the cool thing about pyramid is this. If you take a pyramid, I'm going to use the other pen because I really like the blue, the way the blue one feels in my hand better. And sometimes you get like that as an artist. You'll find a pen that you like and say, I like the way that one feels, and that's the one you'll use. So don't stress yourself if you do. But we're going to go back and we're just going to deal with the pyramid part. The pyramid itself, if we do this with the pyramid, and we draw the triangle first, and we think about the triangle behind it, that would be here. So I'm not going to draw the dots in because I don't want to make this confusing. So if we thought of this shape and we took this edge and we drew an edge just like it here, so we make them parallel. This is known as parallel, okay? And we draw a line from here to the one at the top and here to the one at the top. Now putting our square, our cube, our square underneath it and making it a cube becomes a much better looking house. So I'm going to draw a square here. Then I'm going to take this edge, draw it here, and then I'm going to draw that to here. Now, does this house look better than that? Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to put the two windows on this side so that you can see it. I'm going to go back to the single windows here in the front, here and here, and I'm going to put the doorway there. This house looks a little bit better than that house. Now I can put in my bay window. Okay. Almost looks like the house is smiling, doesn't it? Hi there. Okay. This is a happy house. Happy house too. Happier house. Okay. So draw that now. Take your time. Don't rush. You don't have to stress yourself. I'll do it again over here so you can see it as I do it. Square. Triangle. Line back here. Line down there. This line matches that one. The straight line down matches the straight line of this part. The curved line, or the slanted line, I'm sorry, the slanted line matches the slanted line here. Now that I've done that, all I have to do is put them all together. Boom. I'm trying to move down a little bit so you can see. Boom. And now you have a better house. Now, what else makes it more like house? You go back to square and say, hey, let's put some squares on this thing, some squares and some rectangles. So we put a square, square, another square here. And again, like I said, I like the bay window, so I'm going to put a bay window here. And then a door. And now you have your house. Fair enough? Take your time. Try it again. I'll give you a few minutes. I don't want to rush you. Well, maybe a little bit. But this is very simple. And if you can remember these shapes, these two shapes, square, triangle, you start with that, the rest becomes very easy. Because all you're really doing technically is taking one side of the triangle, one side of the triangle, one side of the square, and just moving it back a little bit. And then you're bringing lines to it from your original square and triangle. And this is how you make the basic house. Now, when you get a little further along, we'll go in and we'll start to add things to this, like to make the roof a true roof. We'll put a chimney on here. And a chimney is really nothing more than a rectangle with part of it cut. Now, I'm not going to take you into now. I'll take it to you. I'll see if we can get to it at the end of the class. All right. I don't want to take you. I do not want to get you confused just yet. This stuff is kind of interesting, but if you can remember these, what I've shown you here, all the rest of this is easy. And again, remember, dot will try to come in every now and again on us because that's what dots like to do. Lines do too, by the way, because lines are what makes this up. So if you look at this, we had this triangle shape here. We have the square here, right? Then we duplicated them here, but who did we duplicate them with? Mr. Line. So Mr. Line joined the party here and here. And then Mr. Line joined the party from here to there. Which is why I say this is why you want to remember all of these shapes and line and dot, because line and dot are very, very important. They always love a good party, and they're always going to come to a good party. So take a look at all of this stuff, and I'm hoping you've got most of this drawn down on your paper, because if you do, then you'll have it. Okay, I want you to have it. This I want you to have anyway, because I want you to have a piece of paper with this on it, so that every time you come to this class or you come to this lecture class, you'll already have this done. I'm going to draw it every week. I'm always going to put it in. I'm always going to put it in, so that this way I never forget how they work. And I want you to do it, at least have it on the sheet of next to you, sheet of paper next to you, so you don't forget. Now, if you think you might, then you can join me and draw it every week also. It only takes, what, less than 30 seconds? And we're good to go, all right? So now that you've got that, let's go to the next thing. So one of the things that I want to do is help you to get your hands and your eyes to work together. Your hands, your eyes, and then also your brain, because your brain is going to control all of the mechanisms you use to have this happen. So to do that, there are a certain number of exercises that I have students do so that they can start to train their hand and their eye and their mind to work together. The easiest thing to do is to really just do lines, circles, triangles, and dots. If you start to use them, then what happens is your hand and your eye get used to it, and your brain will start to say, whoa, wait a minute, I can get these two things to work together. So the easiest thing to do is this. First, we're going to have an exploration of line. Line, if you think about it, is really nothing more than if you have a piece of paper. And remember, if your lines aren't even or straight or any of that stuff at this point, don't worry, don't stress yourself. You just want to do the best that you can do. So all I'm going to do in this scenario is all I'm going to do is draw one line across the paper, just straight across the paper. Now, here's the thing. It is not about speed. Remember this. This is not about speed. It is about controlling the line. So take your time. You don't have to rush. Just take your time and be consistent with it. Do not try to do a sketch line that goes like this. Sketch, 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 sketch. Make it a continuous line. Watch. I'm going to do a line just like this. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to pull it all the way across the paper. Boom. Got it? Do that. I'm going to count. But then no, that'll make it a speed thing, and I don't want it to be about speed. So take your time. It shouldn't take you more than maybe 3 seconds, maybe 4. It's so as fast as, and it's actually as slow as I did it. You know, that's all it takes. Now, here's what I want you to do. After you've done that first line, now I want you to actually do another line right underneath it. But here's what I want you to do. I want the line to look just like the line that you did here. I don't want it to be further away here and then close here. I want it to be as close to it all the way across as you can get it. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. You ready? Here we go. Watch first, and then I'll watch and then let you do yours. Right? 1. Okay? That's it. I know. It should have been harder, I know, but it isn't. This is fairly easy. This is fairly easy to do. So if you take your time, you should be able to do that. So take your time and try it now. And don't worry about it if you're a little off. Like here, I'm a little closer here than I am there. Don't worry about it. When you go to the next one, you'll make the adjustment. You'll make the adjustment. And if you can do that, we're good to go. So take your time and go. If you want, I'll sing for you. La 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 la. Remember, art is fun. So don't stress yourself about it. It's pretty much a fun thing to do. Don't get too caught up in, oh, it's got to be perfect. Perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be good enough. All right. So right now you should have had that line across. Now we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to do the whole page like that. We're going to do the whole page like that. So take your time, start, and go. La 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 la. La 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 la. Now, believe it or not, your mind right now and your hand and your eyes are all talking together to get this to be what it needs to be. And that's pretty much what you want. So don't stress yourself about it if you miss a little. Okay? I'm going to bring this up a little because I'm going to go all the way down. Now, normally I don't do this. Usually I start off with about 4 or 5 of them, and then I let the students do the rest. And I come by and I check it, and I say, you got to make that one closer. You got to pull that one further apart. But I think you guys are going to do pretty good. And wait a minute, you over there in the desk on the left. No, I'm only kidding. Only kidding. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go down and do the rest of mine. So la 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 la. So now let's do the whole page and let's get it all done. Okay. Let's get the whole page done. If you make a mistake, do not worry about it. Just go to the next one In art, there will be some times when you will make a mistake, and it's totally okay. Just go to the next one. I want to change this pen because, again, as I tell you, I like the blue one. Oh, I love the feel of the blue. La 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 la. Did it come up on the screen? Ah, it does look like blue. Okay, it's hard for me to tell. I'm gonna stuff digitally. Ba da 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 dun 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 dun. I worked at a place in New York that was kind of crazy like that. Everybody in there was as nuts as I was. I stayed there for nearly 20 years. I think it's the longest job I ever had. I like working at home. All right. Remember, it's not about speed. So if I start to go fast and the line gets away from me, I slow down on the next one. Now, here's the cool thing. At a point in time, after you've gotten to the point where when you're doing your layouts and you're laying your stuff down and you've gotten your lines where you're fairly consistent, you'll go back in and you'll use a ruler. So somebody, I know you're thinking it because I know I was thinking it. Well, why don't we just use a ruler all the time? Because there are some times when you're going to be drawing lines and you need that freedom when you're drawing because you have to be creative. And sometimes a ruler will lock you into stuff that's a little too stiff. So sometimes you want a line to be a little more organic in its feel. And that's what doing this does. It trains your hands and eyes to be a little more organic and not afraid to draw a line. So how you doing? Are you almost down? Or has your brain said, oh, no, I don't want to do this anymore? Oh, by the way, your brain will fight this because it's not used to having your hands and your eye and work together. Not all the time. Sometimes. On some things it does, but on other things, not so much. But if you do this, you will be fine. You will be fine. So I see 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Now remember, I do not want these kind of lines. I don't want that. See, right now I've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines when I could have just drawn 1. The goal is always to minimize what you have to do so that you don't end up doing more work than you have to in art. Because art means you have to draw a lot of stuff to make things look the way that you want them to look. So if you're drawing 15 lines for just to do 1 line, can you imagine what it's going to be like if you have to draw a city? Oh, scary. So what I always try to do is have students learn to do stuff just very simply the way that they would do it ordinarily. Okay? Yep, so keep making your lines. Take your time. Remember, it's not about going fast. It is about getting them done fairly consistently so that as people look at the page, they go down the page and they look at this. And then after this, our exploration in line will be completed today for the most part. Because all the other things you're going to learn is just what other lines there are. And then next week, we'll have one more, the final line examples. And then we'll go into the other shapes. La 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 la. Okay. I wonder if I should change this up to a different color just to mix it up a bit. Oh, see, made a mistake, got too close. Not worrying about going back and erasing it. It'd be kind of tough erasing ink, marker ink. But they have the stuff called whiteout. I could white it out and just go right over top of it. But I'm not going to worry about it. Not that important. What is important is going to the next one and making the adjustment. Okay? See? La 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 la. La, 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 la. Oh, one other thing I didn't tell you. When you're doing this, see how I'm doing it? Where I'm just doing this stroke. If you're doing the lines and you don't feel comfortable that way, turn your paper a different way. Maybe you have to turn it this way because you like going this way. Maybe you like going down. Okay. Maybe you like it on a tilt because you like an angle. I don't know. You'll turn the paper to the way that feels most comfortable for you and your arm. And then you'll do that. Because again, this is an assignment that you're doing more and more and more and more and more. And sometimes, again, your body, you have to get used to the way your body best works when it's doing the art. Because that's going to be that's going to determine a thing called how long you can sit there and do it. Okay. All right. So you want to be conscious of that. You want to be conscious of it, of how you and your tools work together also. Out in the art world, they have a thing called different papers, different grades, different thicknesses. Some that have a very slick finish, and some people like working on that better than others that have a kid finish or a finish that's a little rougher with a lot of tooth in it to grab pencil and slow your pencil down. Okay, and I think this will be my last line here. Okay. Right? So I hope that you guys have gotten a paper that looks similar to this, fairly similar, or pretty close. If you've done that, then you're okay with me. You're actually aces. Okay. Now, this is what line does. The reason for that is, let's say we go back to the house and I'll give you a little more time. I'm sorry. Like I say, I'm not trying to rush you, but I just want to show you how this gets applied when you draw. So if you're drawing a house and you know that the house has other stuff going on it to make it look more like a house, like let's say you have an indented roof. So you have a line here. Now you have another line going here. See that? Two lines next to each other, just like this. When you draw your windows, windows are basically a square with a bottom. And then we have another line here, right? Notice 1, 2, 3 of lines, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Then on the inside, we may have a line that goes like this. Then you may have one across the center. And then you may have one at the bottom. Then we'll have one above that. And then we'll connect this one on the side to this one. And then we'll go, see how this is? All these lines were close, but if you took this line and that line and put them together and turned them this way and we moved them over, we'd have these two lines. And there you have window. Cool, huh? Yeah. So that's why you want to learn to be able to do lines so that you can do that. Now, if this even had a lip on it, you know, where somebody would like sit or put a glass of, I don't know, soda on it, okay, you'd have that. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. And you've done, well, I've done more than 9 lines here, which is why I'm not afraid to do the lines there for my window. Now, the other thing is outside the window, you may have something on your window that does this. La, 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 la. We'll bring that one over, bring this one over, bring this one down. Bing. La, 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 la. Bing. You see what I'm saying? Now you have a frame for your window. And it goes on and on and on and on. And I can keep adding stuff to this window. And the more I add, the more like a real window it's going to look, because that's what it will do. That's what it's designed to do. All art, again, starts with these basic shapes, and we start adding stuff to the basic shape to make it another shape. And the more stuff we add, the closer it becomes the thing that we do. Cool? Awesome. So, yeah. For all intents and purposes, this is some of the easiest stuff on the planet is to remember this line. Now we're going to go to the next one. You like this? This is kind of interesting. Now we'll go to the next one because the next one does the exact same thing. Let me see if I can do it with this and this. I don't want to dry those out just yet. So I'm going to pick up some new ones probably within the next 2 days. But so if I draw this, again, I'm approximating the fact that you guys are working on paper or in a book. So since I'm working on a scroll, I'm creating the pages as if they were books that you have. So, and I have it under very good authority and very good being told that you guys should have books for this. So I'm creating a page. Now, the second shape, we're going to go under. By the way, I generally have my people do everything. We'll fill up dots where we'll use different kinds of shapes of dots further apart, dots closer together. But I prefer to go to the shapes first. So we'll do a real small example of the dotting, very, very small example of using dot, because since we did do the line, I figured, well, we might as well do the dot too while we're at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line across here, sort of like what we call a line where we do not cross. I'm going to draw a line right there. Hey, that line looks a lot like, oh, never mind. Never mind. I think you get it. So up here, we're going to draw some dots. So here's what I'm going to say. We'll draw a small dot here, a big dot there, a bigger dot here, and smaller, smaller, smaller. A big dot here. La, 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 la. This is what dots can do, do. As I told you, I do sing when I draw a lot of times. Or I'll have music on in a headpiece like the one I have here. Okay. But this one's for you so you guys can hear me pretty good. So as long as this thing is recording, then we'll be fine. Now, if I turn it off and I have not recorded, I'm going to be very mad because this was a very, very interesting lesson. And I really don't want to have to do this again. But anyway, that's what you're going to do. Just draw a bunch of dots. Sometimes you may just touch the paper with your pencil just to get a couple in there, smaller ones, teeny tinier ones. Now, why would we draw dots? Well, if I put a guy here and he looks up, he might be seeing a star field. Now, we would technically make it all black and then use white dots to make that, but the principle is exactly the same. All we're doing is just using different color, okay? Just using different color. So if you're doing that, finish this one out. Finish this one out, and then we can go on to the first shape. Okay? I'm gonna hurry up. La 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 la. Try to make sure they stay dots. As you can see, sometimes mine are starting to become little lines. And Mr. Line Man down here is saying, wait a minute now, make them dots. So let's make them dots. Make sure that they stay dotty. But sometimes in wanting to hurry, you lose the point of what you were trying to do. And I don't want to do that. Okay? I don't want to do that. So it means if I have to slow down, then I slow down because I want dots. I hope you can see these dots, by the way, because they look kind of faint. So I'm going to bring this in just a little closer for you so you can take a peek. But I want you to see that they are dots. Okay? Got it? Yeah, they are dots. And I'm drawing a bunch of them, like a billion. So you should too. All right? I draw a big old dot right here. This dot said, I want to be Big Dot. Mr. Big Dot. Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Dot? I guess you guys, you don't know that song. Or the song is based on, actually. There's really no song called Big Dot, but it's called Big Shot, if I remember correctly. I think that was the name of the song. So just take your time. Remember, you're not rushing. Well, I am, but you don't have to. All right? Anything you don't finish by the time this class is over, you can finish on your own, at your own leisure, and your own pace and speed. And the cool thing is if you decided during the course of the week that you wanted to do, I don't know, 10 lines a day, take you all of, what, 5 minutes? Cool. So somewhere while you're watching TV, you pull out your pen, pull out your pad, pull out your pencil, La, 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 la. Do 10, done. I'll do the rest tomorrow. All right? You get to do that. You have a whole week. So take your time. So I'll make these a little bigger so that I'm pretty sure you can see them better. Yes. All right? Now that's why I need this light to be this way. Can you not fight me today, Mr. Light? Thank you. Thank you. Ow, you're hot. Hot light. Hot light. All right? So as you can see, I'm putting a lot of dots up in here. Okay? And the reason I do this is again, because I never want to diminish the fact that all of these things make all of the things that we create. It may not seem like a lot, but when artists sit down and when they're warm up, we sketch. We sketch. What I do is this stuff. I do this stuff. I do the stuff that's going to get my hand used to and comfortable with what I'm going to be using it for. I do sketching too, the shape of head, shape of face, and that's about a week away. No, maybe not. Maybe next week. Because all of those things are designed to get you to understand the rules of art. And art has rules just like mathematics. In fact, I always thought of art as being a weird form of mathematics, where you get to bring creativity into the mathematical principle. And that's what allows you, for all intents and purposes. Now, as you can see, my marker hit the paper by accident, so we got a little bit of a line. I'm gonna act like it's not even there. I'm gonna put some dots on it. Make them look like they're shooting stars. Now, remember I told you Mr. Line, he feels lonely by himself? And even though he had a whole page to himself over here, he wants to be up in here too. So I'm gonna put one thing for Mr. Line so that you can see. Bing, 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 bing. And as you can see, it's a star. I'll bring this a little closer so you can see it again. And as you can see, Mr. Line got in there, and it's a star. So when you took lines and dots together, you can create stars, as well as stars all the way in the background that are very, very tiny and far away. You need our Hubble telescope to see it. If you don't know what Hubble telescope is, when you get home, Google it, and you can tell people, I know what it is. Okay, so mine is done. I'm hoping yours is fairly done too. And I hope you didn't just dot, 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 instead of actually making dots, actually making the dots. Take the time to make the dots. They will love you for it. Dots don't like to be banged into the paper, and pencils don't like to have their points blunted just because you're in a hurry. Remember, this isn't about speed. This is about patience. So now that you've got that done, now we're going to go to the next shape. Now, the first shape we dealt with was square, and then there was triangle. Triangle, triangle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into this space and we're going to create some triangular shapes. And that's very simple. But now here's what I don't want you to do. Don't make them all the same size. And you can put some in front of and in back of, and others you can just go right through each other. Show you what I mean. This is a triangle. My name is Triangle, and this is one that's behind it. Can you see that? You have one in front and one in back. The small one's in front, the bigger one's in back. Now what I want you to do is, I want you to have one that goes through it. Like he does not exist. We'll put one over here, the same. So what I want you now to do is just mix them up. Make some small, some big, some in front, some behind. Just have some fun with it. Mr. Triangle, Mr. Triangle. I'm a triangular guy. That's it. Have some fun with it. Watch this one. This is going to be a sneaky one. Woo! An upside down one. He says, I've just got to be different. You know who I am. I'm a different kind of triangle. And he said, that's okay. I'm cool with that. So that's all I want you to do. Just have some fun. Just create some triangles. I'll put this one over here behind these two. I think I'll put this one behind this one. And behind this one. And just sort of fill up your space with triangular stuff. Triangular stuff. Okay? And again, it's not about speed. It's just about triangles. Oh, now I'm not gonna be cute. I wasn't about to do something cute, but I said, it doesn't matter. I'll wait till we have a drawing class when we're doing the drawing side of this, where we're taking this stuff and using it to create stuff. And then I'll do some stuff that way. I'll put this one upside down too, because he said, I like the fact that that guy's a little bit different. I want to be different too. And then this one says, well, hey, I want to be different also. I just want to be big different. How's that? Yes. And this one says, you know what? I can hold the whole world on my shoulder. So he's going to hold up the big guy. And this little guy is going to hold up that one. Looks almost like a tree, doesn't it? Can you say Christmas tree? So the reason for doing this kind of stuff is so that when you do it, you can understand that things are made up of these shapes. Now, you may not see the differences in them, but I do. You can make some thin, you can make some wide. You don't have to keep them all the same. We can have some that come partially this way, like he's laying down. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Okay, let's bring this one all the way up. Now it looks like a foot and a pants leg. So for all intents and purposes, now let's make this one a right triangle. Well, he wouldn't want to be wrong. Put this one behind these guys here. Have this guy running through him. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. I want to be a triangle, triangle. Can you feel me being a triangle? All right. But again, all you want to do is just have a little fun. Just a little bit of fun. Now, this area over here has no triangle at all. So let's give him a triangle. Let's give him a right side triangle the other way. Boom. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to do. So continue on until you fill up your space. If you see some spaces where there's a little opening for stuff, put one in, put one in. Actually put two in. Wait a minute, three. Wait a minute, four. Oh my goodness, they're multiplying. Have some fun with it, because that's what you want to really do in art, is have some fun. And all I'm doing is looking now and seeing what spaces look empty. And if it looks empty, now I'm going in and I'm adding some stuff because I want it to not be empty. Oh, you know what? If I do, let's see, where's a good space for one? I could do one here, actually. I'll put one here and put one there. Now we're talking about almost a diamond. Diamonds are a person's best friend. You may not have heard that song. Anyway. Okay? So once you fill that in and you've gotten all your triangles, all your triangles in, and you're pretty happy that you filled it up pretty much and you filled up the space, then you're good. Then you're good. You don't have to stress yourself about it. Actually, I want to put one more in if I can do it. Can I get it in there? Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it from right here. Put it behind these. Coming over here. We must come down here and put it behind everybody. Bang, bang. Ah, yes, 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 yes. I think I can get him. Yes, right there. Bang. Okay. Now, the reason I have you put stuff in front, behind, go through, and the whole thing, when you draw, if you go through the object, a lot of times it'll help you to see the object better. Sometimes drawing through an object will help you see what you're doing better. Okay? So, for today, this should be enough. I'm hoping that you filled in and done all of this. I'm hoping that you've done some of this stuff, because in the future, this is where we'll be using stuff when we be breaking stuff apart and cutting stuff out to create shapes. So I'll show you how to create trees and umbrellas and all of that kind of stuff using these basic shapes by taking stuff away from them or putting stuff in or adding stuff to, all of which are how we use it. Now, one very quick last thing. If you remember last week, I told you about taking shapes and stretching them and pulling them apart and to do things. So if you remember, to create a cylinder, we took a shape, we took a circle, we stretched it to an oval, we added a square to it, and then all we did was match this outer curve to create a cylinder. Now, if you want to, you could do stuff like this. And if you put another circle on the outside of that, that's an oval, you have a cup. Okay, if you put another circle under here, an oval, then you have a cup that has spilled something. Okay. This is how we use art to create and make stuff. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because I'm just in a silly mood with this today. And I hope you can see it. If not, I'll draw it a little darker so that you can see it. We took a circle, we made it into an oval. Then we added a square or a rectangle because it's a long square. And then we took another oval and put it at the bottom. Now I drew a second oval in here just so that you know that this is open. Then I put an oval under here to show you that something has fallen out of it, that spilled out when it cup fell over. Then I put an oval here and then a bigger oval here and put them up against the cup. So now you have a handle to which you can drink. Okay? This is how art works. By taking those basic shapes, using them connected to, in front of or behind, to make stuff that we all know. And once you can do that, you will be an artist, my friend. And I'll tell you a little secret, which I think you're all going to love. You're artists already. You're artists already. You're artists already. And because you're artists already, all I'm doing is just having you reconnect to the stuff that you already know. I mean, you don't know that you know, but it's been inside you since you were a little baby. Little babies are naturally creative. They'll move stuff around. They'll take paint, put it on the paper, just and they'll be fine with that. Then afterwards, they'll say, I'll go to something else. They don't hold on to anything and they don't look at it like, I messed up. They don't go through any of that stuff. We do as we get older because we look and our friends start laughing at what we do. So now we're trying to be perfect so they won't laugh. Let them laugh. You're drawn. If they're not drawn, let them laugh. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I want to thank you for being here today. And I kind of enjoyed this. I do miss not being in the classroom setting though, because I always like the feedback. I like to hear students when they're going through the stuff and they're asking the questions and that kind of thing. But I'm hoping that you enjoyed what you did today. And I'm hoping you're seeing some of the applications that you will be doing in the upcoming weeks, because that is what you will be doing. You will be creating stuff because that's what art is for, to help you create. So have a good day, and I will see you guys next week.